What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another day. I'm wearing the same shirt, I know, because I'm doing back-to-back demos. I just did a NAFNI one. This one's coming out a couple days after. This one's going to be about Papatronic. He's finally got out of the house. He's under the bright lights, in the AC, on land with his homies. Finally at a boot camp in person with everyone instead of, just simple staying home, or they're just still playing online from boot camp somewhere else. He's on the field, finally, Electronic. And this is one of those players, I think like Rain and Electronic, I think two are players that stand out that were clearly waiting for LAN. You know what I mean? Like a lot of players got better on LAN. The best players got better on LAN. But Electronic was one who people were like, is this guy top 20 this year? And then LAN came through and is this guy top 5 right now? You know what I'm saying? And Rain's kind of the same thing. Like, he's got so much better with LAN coming through, and this is a personal thing for a lot of players. They haven't like publicly complained about their feelings in the last year or talked about burnout or anything, even though some might have less, some might have fewer grievances about it. Some might want to complain more, but what we can see from the numbers is clearly there is some correlation between this man and LAN. This guy on Electronic on Ethernet. All right, maybe that would be the title of the video. Electronic plugged in. It's not going to be like that, but yeah. Anyways, a lot of people have been asking for the Electronic demo because this man right here, he's a top 5 player at IEM Cologne 2021. Top 4, in fact. And an extra map over top of Nico here, a few more than K Serato, so extraordinary performance. I mean, this could easily be the best rating at an entire event if it wasn't for stuff like this, ungodly numbers. So it's about time we got to watch another Electronic match, and the really cool storyline is going to drive this one before we hop into the game is looking at Electronic move on the T side. Okay, chat, help me out with this one. All right, I said, chat, when I think about Electronic on T side, NUKE, first of all, we watched CT side NUKE from Electronic, and he's the guy who plays inside of Mini. He's the guy who watches the outside cross. He pushes some damage down. He's the guy who deals with Squeaky. He's got a tough job, but he's the strongest rifler on the team, so it makes sense that he's there to play the hardest spot on the map, probably, on CT side. And on T side, conversely, he's also the guy who kind of deals with the Mini guys sometimes, but mostly his job is just to get into secret and sit and wait. It's a very boring job. And honestly, I feel like it could be more impactful. I feel like Electronic's job on the T side of NUKE is a bit one-dimensional, a bit boring. It doesn't seem like it's that impactful. But what chat told me was that Electronic is starting to do some new stuff on NUKE on outside, on T side. So that's why we're watching this demo, which should make this super fun to get into, to see how his role has evolved, if it has at all. And why don't we go ahead and just get into it, because I don't really have any more precursor information to get out there in regards to this. Now, this is, of course, just the pistol round where they're rushing upstairs. And I think if there's anybody who actually, I believe, has the best upper exec on the whole planet on this map, it's Na'Vi. I think their upper exec is one of the scariest. It's one that they can actually use many, many times over. And honestly, right now with Vitality, a lot of people are taking upstairs. And it's no offense to Kyojin, and it's no offense to Masuda, it's no offense to any of the other people. But right now, it feels like at least one of the two players upstairs is going to drop a shot and let the T's in. So maybe there are going to be a lot of upstairs takes. Excuse me, I had the cam over the radar. Maybe there are going to be a lot of upstairs takes this game, but I heard there's some outside play. This is a match from the Cologne group stage. And yeah, I'm not sure if this is the elimination match for Vitality, but it may very well have been. But yeah. So he's defaulting towards outside, and if I'm going to define what Electronic's role looks like on this half of NUKE, it's to have his teammates throw some outside cross smokes. This is the lurk smoke you throw on T side so that you can clear out the close angles. Back of Mini, close box here. And it's all about being very careful. Masuda obviously has nothing to lose, so he swings out with the deagle, takes Electronic out. A very unfortunate death. And actually, let me just go ahead and reaffirm the exact stat line here for Electronic in this series, because it was very strong and I didn't go over the ratings, which I normally do before we start the match. So just very quickly, sorry to break the immersion and do this, but he had a T-side that was a 13-7 T-side. Everyone played very well, especially Perfecto, but 180 R, 1.75 rating just on this, having 100% KAST here in this map, and that's a 13-7 T-side is what we're looking at. So we're going to hop back into the game and maybe skip on through. Looks like they might survive this round. The half that Perfecto had, maybe he's going to win this clutch. Perfecto was one of the best clutchers at Cato last year, one of the final LAN of the year. And I think that was the first time we got to see Perfecto play at a LAN, unless he played at Blast at the beginning of 2020, where there was any kind of audience at all. Because there actually wasn't at Cato itself. But that is the only next level for players who are starting to make their appearances on LAN. Is playing in front of a crowd is the next step up in terms of pressure and everything like that. So again, here comes that lurk smoke, or sorry, the defense against the lurk smoke, or the smoke you throw to clear things out. And you can see how he can wrap around it, and it gives him some options. And, sometimes you would think, oh, it's normal. You go take out side control, you get into secret, and you go lower. Honestly, Electronic just never really did that often. The way that he would play a lot of the times, get secret control, sit up at the top of the stairs, hang out in that area, and then maybe meet up with his team depending on what they were going to do. So this is already a touch more aggressive, I want to say, than I'm used to seeing from him. And it looks like there's going to be some kind of ramp split here. A good idea to do in this situation is you're upstairs, you throw a molly into Squeaky. You might hear one. Then you take wrap control. You have two people lower who might have snuck down, and then you split downstairs, and that might be the molly. We'll see if they decide to approach upstairs in some kind of weird fake, or if they're just going to go through a standard round and hit lower. But it looks like they half pull this rotation. Masuda tries to clean up, and this actually opens up. So now they can, with that molly, take over vent control, slow down that rotation. Boomich and Electronic could help kill the guy lower, and then Boomich could get in the vent, and then the ramp guys know Masuda there, that they can finally get down. So this is one of those rounds where Vitality, depending on how much they knew, which it didn't seem like a lot, were actually quite a disadvantage. But somehow Shocks wins the 1v2. They didn't get the bomb down. All right, we're not going to talk about that. Up until that point, the round looked quite good for Na'Vi. But the MP9 1v2 is a little bit too strong. Okay. Deagle out here for Electronic. As he roams across outside. And it is a very nomadic role, the T side outside on Nuke. Nice clean movement from Electronic as he actually just gets in, gets a flash out, and gets out. He wants nothing to do with the area. Once they hear that op, they decide to form up. So it feels very much like this is a call based on hearing that op outside. Actually group now to hit upstairs. Electronic at risk of dying to a late spread on this Incendiary, but it's being very kind to him. And now it's still a 4-on-4 situation. Let's see how he times this. And he does eventually break out. Boomich is the one to do the heavy lifting, though. However, they join hands and are able to take the site together. The help of everybody. Some damage here from Electronic. The 2 kills from Boomich. And now it's just a disadvantaged situation for Vitality. It will look like a pretty decent spot to hold. And it looked like basically Electronic made some footsteps inside of Hut, drew some attention, and didn't just want to overstep and try to get out really quickly. Finding that line where you're helping your team take a site and knowing when a bait is actually effective and not dying too soon is so hard to draw, right? You always want to make sure your team doesn't feel like you're hanging them out to dry, but you, at the same time, sometimes want to be the guy who maintains a little bit of presence and hope that your teammate gets entries. In this situation, where Electronic's the only one going into Hut, if he dies, then there's no more pressure from Hut at all. But if his 3 teammates coming out of Squeaky lose a player, there's still 2 more to go. So in that regard, he kind of has a way to buy a bit more time to slow down that upstairs take. But there are certain situations where If you go too slowly, you're just throwing the round away for the rest of your team, who might require you to trade, really need you to get the site. So, okay, some default grenades outside again. And it's important to throw some of the same stuff every round, because if you don't, then it's going to be quite obvious what you do. You might not realize what you're doing as a tell. It might be very clear to the other team. But if you throw some of the same default grenades every single round, then again, from the perspective of conditioning, the team is going to be forced to either use the same grenades in response every round, or be very confused about what might be actually happening every round. So you can see okay, well, thought he was going to go through the quiet jump up, but messes his movement up, and Decon's being cleared out for him, which opens up this position now. And he seems to not even have an idea that Simple is coming in from Decon in that spot, but I think they're just fine. It doesn't feel like there's any way for anyone to come and approach him. That EU movement. Electronic, famously one of the strongest movement players in CS. People say he held world records in 1.6. You can see in spots where he's very, very clean with it, even in CSGO. But there's a lot of players who were great 1.6, didn't play any CSGO KZ. Rops didn't play any CSGO KZ as far as I know. And I think I don't know about Electronic if he has or hasn't. MP9 Deagle, an interesting combo. MP9 Deagle to Silo, imagine. No, okay. We'll see if they even try to exec off upstairs or anything like that right now. Looks like it's kind of a light buy, and Electronic just coming in late. And in this situation, you can kind of try to catch a ramp lurker as the last guy in, but they've also got Perfecto here to help, and the entries are just going too well. There's not even anything more they actually need to do at this point. The round is just over, and yeah, it is a lot of upstairs hits in this game, because Vitality are having mad problems upstairs. They were playing Kyojin and Masuda upstairs together, but they were anything but a dynamic duo. Kyojin and Masuda, when they were holding upstairs together, they were clearly not communicating very well. They were taking turns dying. There was just too much inexperience between the both of them, and they were getting taken advantage of, honestly, by a lot of T teams. And Navi, again, one of the fiercest upstairs execs in all of the Tier 1. So I'm not surprised to see that here in this game. Then they stopped playing, I think, Masuda and Kyojin together. I think they had Shocks playing upstairs along with Kyojin, or along with Masuda, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure what's happened, if that's changed at all this LAN. Top of Marshmallow with an MP9. Don't try this at home. If I'm the seat, I honestly think, I'm sure Electronic would win this duel versus a CTU comes to rap, but he's of course just here to throw some grenades. And okay, yeah, I guess he does want to take a peek upstairs. Maybe he wanted to try to get, he gets the kill onto Kyojin, and I guess he was trying to get on top of Mini to try to wrap outside that way, but instead has to reroute a little bit. 2-on-5 again. The entries go well. Upstairs is taken over, and gets an MP. I can't believe he's still. Honestly, I would switch to the Deagle here. I would honestly switch to the Deagle crossing outside here. I'm kind of surprised he's just he's actually just holding all these far angles. Genius or madness, right? Okay, he's holding on all these far angles to the MP9. And no final kill. Wow, there is just no slowing down here for Navi. Such a clean half overall. It's something a little bit different out towards outside. He doesn't throw that initial smoke. He's here to try to clear out some angles. He's trying to smoke off credit card and not actually go for the lurk, but trying to draw the attention. So, okay, just quickly right there, it's a bit of a mind game. So I think what we just saw was the cross smokes go out, and then there are a couple of variations to the plays that you can make on T side. One of those is to walk through the smokes into the credit card, which is right in between Big Garage and sneak through and try to flank Big Garage or peek towards Heaven or whatever. Or you can flash and then wrap Mini if people are going to put pressure upstairs and fast flank. Or you can do what Electronic did, and that was throw a smoke down to block off credit card, then to flash to make it seem like he was attacking Mini, and then to just draw attention. So I think what Electronic was trying to do there is simply just draw spam so that he could find out if someone was outside and where, but not actually go through with the play of trying to wrap on into the site. But even not anticipating, Electronic's like, this is my spot. I hold this angle. You're not supposed to be here. I'm still going to go through my protocols, Boomich. This is what I do. I get the secret to hold this angle on stairs. I don't care what you're watching. I'm still going to hold this angle. All right. And now playing the trade as they come into downstairs, but Masuda holds ramp and Zaiwu gets his kill. 2, in fact, as he rotates into the vent, leaving Simple alone. And he ends up dying as well. Vitality alive and well on the board. The spam hits the vent into the big garage. Worth giving it a shot. Any CTs are rotating into the upper site via the via mini. They have a chance of getting spammed. You can even tag them in the head. It's a very thin sheet of metal, that vent, so you can do a hell of a lot of damage. And now the upper exec one more time, but Electronic's not going up outside this time. Instead, he's just joining up with his teammates, hitting upstairs via Squeaky and via Hut. So far, so good for the whole team. They have options open. And so far, one option I think that Vitality have decided to forego is getting outside control aggressively at all. No one's been fighting from red. No one's been fighting from the back of mini for the most part. In the establishing rounds, in the defaults where basically, wow, this is crazy. Basically, Na'Vi are throwing all of the regular grenades. Nobody is fighting Electronic up close, so he's even stopped throwing the Lyric Smoke outside. They're starting to speed it up, which I think is very nice from Na'Vi in general. And they're taking advantage of the fact that most of the time, Vitality, they just don't want nothing to do with this. And now they've got another round versus just pistols. And Vitality just do not have a suitable defense outside. They are getting absolutely ass blasted on all of the positions that they're playing. And it must feel like Na'Vi are just creating some insane timings. They're really just doing the same thing again. You can see the tempo here is starting to rise. And finally, they decide to try to fight Electronic. It's not a bad angle for Apex to do so. But, wow, Zaiwu even coming in on that same position to try to refrag, and Electronic hasn't moved a muscle. So there's that same smoke and one flash to try to bait some attention. And I think he's here just basically listening. 14 HP. Let's see what the adjustment is. Sometimes it's really nice to pay attention to the way people behave when they have low HP. You know, especially at the pro level, you're seeing, you know, very calculated adjustments, like where they can find headshot angles but still be impactful. Where is a nice spot where you didn't think of that, like, oh, this is cool. And it's also you're gonna see things being played differently. You know, maybe he moves forward with his last lurk like he did last time and get into big garage control with that smoke and the flash. Instead of coming back into mini. Maybe not. Maybe he comes back into, or sorry, Squeaky. Or maybe not. Maybe he comes back into Squeaky. Well, and here just playing way back inside. Catch anything just in case. And it ends up being the correct play. 10-2. Na'Vi can do no wrong. Now, this last time we saw him throw his nade set. See, it's a little bit different. Sometimes he's throwing his Molotov and his flash. This time it's just his flash and Na'Vi. Again, in terms of tempo, I feel like they're very, very hard to read right now. Like, the nades have been slightly different every single time. Vitality been denied off of getting outside information every single time. I feel like Na'Vi didn't bother taking outside this time around because Vitality weren't going to be there. So it was just going to be a time sink to even go outside and wait for the default to go there first. So I'm really liking the way that the game is being called at the moment for Na'Vi. It feels like this is the most annoying thing that Vitality would have to go through. Oops, 3v3, one player lower, Electronic. So basically going to solidify the fact that these CTs were about to save and cannot. Yes, him and Electronic or Perfecto will get the last 2 kills. And here again, this Molotov just to deny the push on the outside. They throw cross smokes for him, and they also get a couple of kills. Going to speed up his entry quite a bit. Let's see how he takes it. No, Zaiwu, he misreads the situation, and Zaiwu's inside a big garage. But Simple gets a miraculous trade on Zaiwu, and also has it up 3-2, and then Bit gets another one. Second to last round of the half. And so far, we've seen a lot of variety in Electronics' plays and his defaults. He's had little to no issues getting the map control he wants to. I honestly am blaming Vitality a lot for not putting enough pressure on his spot to be able to frag him in the position that he is. But I also want to give him full credit. He and the team as a unit have been taking the fact that Vitality haven't been scary outside, I think, and using it against them by bringing in this fiery hot tempo, rushing outside in these later rounds, getting fast lower control. And okay, here's a low number situation in the last round of the half. And this is Electronic preying on the fact that maybe they didn't see that anybody crossed. So maybe they'll try to go for some kind of vent rotate. But in this spot, Electronic is hoping his teammate gets a kill as opposed to gets killed. Then there's more of a likelihood that they try to go through with some kind of rotation like that. And now we're here to buy time. He spots one. He can smoke the right side off. And this is about helping his teammate have options. So if he can smoke off one side, then there's a world where Perfecto could potentially rotate off to the boxes or whatever. And now the one-on-one situation. Let's see how well this angle works. Oh, it's a perfect angle. In fact, Kyojin dies. That was actually a beautiful angle. Learned a new one right there for holding in the post plant. Read the situation perfectly. People are obviously more inclined to strafe left and right than they are forward and backwards because it's harder to counter strafe moving forward and backwards, but that was really cool. Blocked off just enough stuff. Hyojin didn't realize he never stood a chance. All right, so that was the end of that half. To follow up with the Nafny one, another interesting one. Unfortunately, I think in this demo, it feels like it's a lot of negatives. I'd like to, that I feel like there is to be said about Vitality. It feels like they didn't really have a very inspired CT side. They didn't really bring a lot of fight towards a yard when it came to Electronic. And so we saw the team and Electronic respond to this and do a lot of different things. And we didn't see him go secret too many times or low in through lower too many times. You saw him have very different default grenades, whether it came to faking the upstairs exec or going through with it. Sometimes he would come back and be a part of the upstairs exec and just get a nice, easy refrag. Overall, his job looked very simple, but partially because there was not a lot of CT pressure there to make him go to that next level, which would have been fun to see. But yeah, even him smoking out credit card and flashing netted him a couple of kills from someone else. And it was interesting to see. He never even ever once went through with a wrap into Mini. And oftentimes didn't land on top of Mini at all. And was more dedicated to clearing outside without ever really wrapping towards heaven or committing to taking over big garage control, even though he tried at one time. But yeah, that's a lot about Electronics T side on this map. Definitely a lot less boring than it used to be and a lot more inspired. And man, even just watching Electronics' perspective, we could really see how good Na'Vi looked as a team. And this is a world where Simple has his very best version of Na'Vi probably in history. And his most reliable team, the most fun and interesting and individually talented team to watch at the moment. So really cool to see. Of course, Electronic is his right-hand man and the guy you're expecting to be that second top 5 player to bring home the big games, and he is definitely in form right now to do so. So we'll see if they can win IEM Cologne. That'll be their next challenge. Gambit standing in their way. And I'm going to stop talking like a commentator. I hope you enjoyed that demo.